Hello there, welcome. Well, yesterday, President Akufo-Addo laid in front of Parliament what is supposed to be the State of the Nation address. Well, the minority said that they will put together their own real State of the Nation address, and that is happening right now in Parliament. HARUNA IDDRISU, minority leader, is addressing a press conference where they intend to put together what they believe is the real State of the Nation address. You can go over to Parliament for that live feed now.
Yes. A case in point is a sinking fund established by the NDC government through which over $350 million has been realized to help pay off the MPP first $750 million bond. We got the sinking fund established so that they have no difficulty even as we enter 2017. Mention can also be made of the petroleum funds, which includes the stabilization fund and now the famous heritage fund with the MPP through its senior minister. Only last week saw true role conflict between senior minister and minister of finance. We won't at it just at this same table who to believe and who to listen to, the senior minister or the minister of finance. In one breath, one assures us that they will use the heritage fund. The other says we would not use the heritage fund. Whatever it is, some money have accrued to the heritage fund because there was discipline by the successive administration of this country, including the NDC government. This selective approach by the president when discussing the economy is symptomatic of the general lack of conduct by the MPP in matters relating to the economy. Sufficient work has been done by the NDC to facilitate further economic growth and its consolidation. Acknowledging same will take nothing away from the president if he did, by just saying that yes, I'm inheriting this debt, whether IDDRISU is 74% of GDP, but this is expenditure relative to the borrowing, which was to build the infrastructure as we indicated. Ghanaians are not in the mood for convenient politicking and rampant excuse making. So many of you will know that the president, to paraphrase him, I'm in a hurry. He was in a hurry to end the State of the Nation address than being in a hurry to share with the Ghanaian people his detailed program to deal with the many sufferings of the Ghanaian people that they identified and recognized during their campaign. On the energy sector, the president claimed that $2.4 billion of debt has been left by the immediate past NDC government. What he did not add was that these are legacy debts accrued over a period spanning 4 governments under the 4th Republic. So the legacy debt of $2.4 billion is not just the last 4 years of President Mahama or the last 8 years of NDC, but attributable, as I know, many of it to financing of subsidy and dealing with foreign exchange losses over a longer period of time. They include price policies such as subsidies and foreign losses, as I've mentioned. And then he said it may result in a near collapse of the banking sector. He gave his own statistics. This is essentially worrying when evidence abounds of work done to address this issue. Though this mechanism, the portion of the debt owed to the banks amounting to about 2.2 billion Ghana cedis was restructured by leveraging 250 million Ghana cedis that had accrued from the energy sector levy. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, even as he cried loud on an outstanding energy sector debt of 2.4 billion, through the NDC, the energy sector levy was introduced in order that it will be used to finance VRA and ECG and to offset the outstanding legacy debt. So he only mentions 2.4 billion without sharing with the Ghanaian people accruals from the energy sector levy that they will soon be using if they are already not using that. It must be recalled that President Nana Addo and the MPP promised while campaigning to scrap the energy sector levy. In the course of review of the appointees here, we've had people speak with the double size of their tongues. Some will scrap the energy sector levy, others will maintain the energy sector levy. But whatever it is, we offered a solution to deal with the outstanding energy sector levy, to deal with the outstanding energy sector debt through the introduction of the energy sector levy. A record that we remain profoundly proud of. And let them tell us tomorrow whether they would not use the energy sector levy and its accruals in the running of this economy and to improve the economy of our country. Through this mechanism, the portion of the debt owed to the banks amounting to about 2.2 billion have stated that we restructured $450 million of debt owed suppliers. This gave the banks and the utilities substantial breathing space. So thanks to the energy sector levy, there's been some improvement. It must be recalled that President Akufo-Addo and the NPP, as I said, promised that they were going to scrap the levy. We will look forward to the budget statement and see what they can share with the Ghanaian people. It is noteworthy in opposition that NPP claimed to be opposed to the Compact 2, which was signed by Ghana with the Millennium Challenge Corporation, which focuses on concession program for the Electricity Company of Ghana. Whilst in opposition, yesterday he was smiling whilst he says that the Compact 2 is enforced. It's enforced because President Mahama took part in the US-Africa Summit and signed onto Compact 2 to reform the energy sector and for a better energy sector. Indeed, as President Nana Addo stated, part of the problem had to do with labor and just portions of the agreement that sought to oust the laws and constitution of Ghana that needed fine-tuning, and ECG workers being assured of job security, which President Mahama did when he addressed the May Day in Wa. He gave every assurance to all the workers of ECG that even as he pursues the implementation of Compact 2, he could guarantee them of their job security. Nana Addo Dankwa, the president and the NPP have come to terms with a painful truth that the concession plan was the best option for salvaging the fortunes of the NDC that he is now embracing, ECG. So part of the difficulty with labor was the appointment or the determination of a concessionaire. Yet he accepts now that Compact 2 with this concession plan will improve the fortunes of the ECG. Their promise to review the Compact has met with the objective reality that the rhetoric have given way to a new tune, because I personally heard the US ambassador say that it was not a matter they could walk back to review. But in their naivety, they still said that when they come, they will review Compact 2 with the US administration. It is our hope that they see through that important exercise to its logical conclusion. The insincerity is not the best for a start. Still in the power sector, President Akufo-Addo indicated in his address that his government intends to list VRA and GRIDCO on the Ghana Stock Exchange. The media, you heard him. He will list VRA and GRIDCO on the Ghana Stock Exchange. We are convinced that this is only euphemism for the wholesale privatization of both vital state power companies. ECG concession, they said hell must break loose. Today, VRA and GRIDCO will be on Ghana Stock Exchange, short of telling the Ghanaian people that it will soon be offered for sale. We will monitor them closely and see what the outcome will be, and we will engage him thoroughly with a national debate on his expressed intentions on these major state institutions of the VRA and GRIDCO. Employment and job creation. The President Sona was particularly keen on employment, so he smartly was deferring to budget. We'll see what employment will be offered in the budget statement. Beyond the repetition of his campaign promises, it is even more disconcerting to them that some of the very first steps taken by the Nana Addo have served to render thousands of Ghanaian youth lawfully employed under the NDC government jobless. You have a government which says is concerned about the employment of young people, yet 205 employees of national service, whatever it is, they are Ghanaians, are asked to go home because probably they were employed by the previous administration. God save this country. I mean, you cannot start a recruitment process in the morning and end in the evening. We all know what goes through procurement processes in terms of advertising, interviewing, and others. So this could not be judged as a decision of the day they were offered employment letters. They must have gone through some process and some clearance. Even that is not being respected. We are told that about 110 middle-level staff of Cocoa Board have been asked to go home. 634 nurses who have received financial clearance in various public health institutions have been thrown out of the job. 8,634. And for this, very important, just before the elections, we had a request of about 25,000 nurses. The Ghana Registered Nurses Association met with me and then Minister for Health, Honorable Alex Segwefia, to deal with the outstanding issues of nurses. We managed to give financial clearance for only 8,634. So there's an additional over 20,000 nurses who are still waiting out there. These are the young people they promised jobs. And probably these young people voted for them with the honest belief and faith that at least they will smile and not be told that your clearance, there's a problem with it. The young people are not interested in who gave clearance. What they want is bread and butter on their table, and they want jobs. That he must be seen doing. We are told that another 265 police recruits who have reached advanced stages of training have had their dreams of entering the police service crushed by an unreasonable decision to dismiss them. If for nothing at all, wait, 2017 and 18, you also recruit police. When they recruit them, they will be Ghanaian police, and they will work for the people of Ghana. These are persons who have also been asked. So we are having a revisit of some bourgeois era tendencies in this particular administration. And we are worried, and we are very concerned. 525 national security personnel have also been shown the exit and asked to go home by this government. At best, they could redeploy them. So at worst, you have 9,739 persons in want of a job and in want of a living because of the petty partisanship of this administration, and to allow partisanship to cloud their judgment instead of the general good of our country. Ladies and gentlemen, we will still lament the spirit of lawlessness that has characterized the conduct of tax loyal to the MPP. And like I indicated earlier, condemnation is not enough. They should walk the talk and punish all persons associated with this. I'm told that this morning, even Tamale Teaching Hospital, they chased the CEO and locked up his office. Youth Employment Agency office in Sagnarugu, National Health Insurance in Bwedu, have all been victims, including NADMO. Let us remind the president that he's not coming through a military coup d'etat. He came through a process, a democratic elected process, and therefore he must be seen respecting the rights of persons, and he must call those rampaging persons to order. The activities of this doing, and further to this, the president must ensure a cessation of the unwarranted harassment and seizure of property belonging to figures of the NDC. After 60 years of nationhood, I think that our democratic process must be the richer and the better. The continuous intimidation, public servants, civil servants, local government officials feeling insecure and unsafe is not the best for our country. And let the MPP be reminded that they have no monopoly over those acts, that they have no monopoly over those acts. And therefore, for the good of our country, they must work with us to end the harassment, the intimidation of innocent civil, public servants and local government servants who are serving their country. He also created a grave omission when he said charity begins at home. The president did not utter a word on the regrettable carnage that has led to unacceptable deaths in Bimbilla. So we remind him that it's not just about what pertains elsewhere, but within his own backyard, is concerned about developments in Gambia, we are also concerned about the insecurity and Bimbilla, and we've already put them on alert that let nobody come tomorrow regretting that there's an incident in Boku or in Yendi, and now we are coming to safeguard life and property after life have been lost. I think that they must act well on their intelligence and work decisively to punish any person associated with the commission of this crime. Equally worrying was the president's failure to touch on Ghana's position on major geopolitical happenings, particularly in the SAP region. We heard practically nothing about the situation in the U.S. On immigration, its consequence and effects on the Ghanaians. Brexit, a major economic decision of the UK, its implications on our economic and trade relations with the UK into the future. The economic partnership agreement had been signed. Nothing was said about it. It also has economic implications on our trade relations with the EU and many others. And on the local scene of education, I'm sure on health, he only tactically decided to talk about national health insurance. But for those of you who listened to President Mahama in the campaign, we offered, and I'm sure it's the idea they are running around and they went to see Heritage Fund. President Mahama has said that we could dedicate a certain percentage of the annual budget funding amount to improve the financing of the national health insurance. So those of you who listened to President Nana Addo yesterday, he was more on statement of problems than professing solutions for them. He was very brilliant at stating the problem. I inherited a debt. I inherited an ailing economy, and only said that he will fix what has been broken. We'll see how he gathers what he would use to fix that. We ever took note of the president's assertion that the Takoradi to Paga railway line will begin this year. From the western to eastern corridor will be initiated this year. Here too, there was no acknowledgement by the president of the significant work done by the NDC government to open up the railway sector. And the John Mahama administration completed the beginning of the western railway line by constructing the Sekendi Takoradi and Kojo Krom rail line, and then the railway master plan, which will form the basis for any further development of that sector, was drawn up by the NDC administration. An amount of $300 million was secured by the NDC government for the construction of the Tema to Akusumbo rail line, and it is our expectation that this project will be faithfully executed by this government. In the road sector, funds were secured for or work had commenced on the following important projects that we look forward to their completion: the Pokwasi ACP Junction Interchange, the Obechibi Lamte Interchange, the Volvo Bridge, the Flower Port to East Legon Flyover, the Tema Roundabout Interchange, among others. In the water sector, we also are proud of our record of the government must build on the 80% water coverage achieved by the NDC administration. We know that we approved $35 million for the Damongo water project, and we expect that they will commence work to end the suffering of the people in that part of northern region. We note that the president and his men sought refuge in the budget statement. 10 days is only 9 that separates days. So we will count the 9th, and then we'll see what the budget will be able to offer in terms of their many promises. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there are aspects of the text that I would endeavor to, my IDDRISU is spelled with one S, just take note of that, because that is personal to my name. But let me conclude that even on senior high school, beginning in September, let the president and the NPP be reminded that those wanting free senior high school is not only the people entering in September, but every Ghanaian student in a senior high school deserves to benefit from the free senior high school on equity principles, and therefore they should come with a budget. even as they contemplated heritage, for how long? How sustainable was that? We know they are running to look for other options to be able to finance that. But annual budget funding amount, we know as a country, even the heritage and some of the oil-related funds, we have said that don't touch them until after 15 years. In their desperation, if they had come to use heritage, they would have tinkered with the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, when in fact we have not been able to do that. So on senior high school, we are reminding him that noble idea, that he can provide quality, free senior high school education. But as he keeps saying in September, there are students who are in senior high schools who are anticipating, rightly so and deservingly so, to benefit from his pledge of a free senior high school. He should keep them in his budget contemplation, how he intends to provide the free senior high school. We will be waiting for his financing option. But for distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the media, if you have a president who is crying that I have no fiscal space, yet he is accommodating new presidential initiative that is promising to finance, who has bastardized borrowing too as an option. So you see, he will be between the deep sea. He cannot borrow. He wants to cut taxes. He has no fiscal space. The end of his contradictions. We are open for questions now, distinguished ladies and gentlemen.
Colleagues and gentlemen from the media, colleagues for... Nana bro, Nana bro, Nana bro, Nana bro, Nana bro, Nana bro. Thank you very much, colleagues. Colleagues, before we take the questions, we have our colleague Honorable Atufosin, who summarize all this we've done in just about 2-3 minutes, so that we don't open for questions. So, Honorable Atufosin.
Make a fancy.
Now we are talking.
In your
That is the minority in parliament with their own version of the state of the nation. Well, that press conference was addressed by Minority Leader HARUNA IDDRISU, after which Mr. Hayford is supposed to summarize in Chi. Well, let's quickly go through what they said. Just a very quick summary of it. They speak about the 2.4 billion debt that the president yesterday spoke about. They say that he mentioned this 2.4 billion without necessarily telling us about how much has been accrued so far from the energy levy that was imposed by the government. They will be monitoring government decision to list Gridco and VRA on the stock exchange to make sure that it is transparent. Of course, they talk about harassment being meted out to civil and public servants who are just doing their jobs. They mentioned the insecurity in Bimbilla. They say safeguarding, of course, should happen not after people have died. And if you want to safeguard people, you should do that before people lose their lives. They talk about the situation in the United States with immigration following the inauguration of President Donald Trump and the impacts that it's having on Ghanaians there. And they want the government, the NPP government, to speak about that. They speak about Brexit and the trade relations and its impact for us as a country. They say that that has not been addressed. They mentioned the national health insurance, and then they say that the president basically yesterday put together a statement of problem without solutions. They talk about the Western Corridor Road that the president mentioned and said he did not acknowledge work that has been done already by the NDC in that part of the country. The $200 million for Tema and Akonsobo Railway rail line, they say, has been already secured. Funding has been secured, and they are watching closely to ensure that that project is executed by the NPP government. They mentioned a couple of similar projects which they say funding have already been secured, and so that should be done. They look at the access to potable water. They said that they created, or they ensured that there was 80% of water coverage in the country. They expect that the NPP administration will build on that and perhaps reach the 100%. What does the budget have to offer is something that they are keenly looking forward to seeing. Then they finally end with the senior high school, which the President Akufo-Addo says will be starting in September. They said that we want to see a budget to it, a budget that breaks down exactly what you're putting in and where you're getting what you're putting in from. They say there are those who are already in school, and those people, even though you're starting in September, there are those who are already in school who expect to benefit from the senior high school. Well, they're taking questions right now, but that is what's happening in Parliament, the minority, with their own version of the state of the nation, which they believe is a real state of the nation. But this is The Pulse. My name is Gifty Andopia.